Kathleen Parker. I like Kathleen Parker. She was very kind to me. In fact, she gave her copy of my book to President Bush. Kathleen Parker liked my book so much, she gave her copy to the president. For some reason, my publisher had neglected to send President Bush a copy. So I owe Kathleen Parker a debt of gratitude for that. She's writing in the Washington Post, and she's calling on faithless electors in the Electoral College to be unfaithful, because it would only take 37 of Trump's 306 electors to bring his number down to 269, in which case he would no longer be the president. We are moving into actually very dangerous territory here, because you are basically telling people that there is nothing you can do peacefully to change the policy course of the United States. You are telling people that elections don't matter. We had elections in 2010, and it didn't matter because Obama found a 60th vote and hammered Obamacare down the throats of a nation that didn't want it. The 2014 midterms didn't matter. Now, 2016, the Republicans have finally found a guy who won the presidential election, and even Republican commentators like Kathleen Parker are saying, no. This is why the Electoral College was set up, in order to deny the election of people like Donald Trump. You should think very carefully before telling the people that they cannot, by their votes and by the constitutional and electoral practice of their country, change the course of the government. The only reason Donald Trump became the nominee is because he picked up a couple of issues on which the base and the party elites were not in the same place. If Jeb Bush didn't want Donald Trump to be the nominee, Jeb Bush could have proposed serious, meaningful border enforcement and immigration control. So could John Kasich, but they didn't. So the base decided it wanted Donald Trump as his party's nominee. He became the nominee fair and square. You may not like it, but he saw off everybody else. He became the nominee. Then he won the election. And yes, he didn't win, as The Hill pointed out. Hillary fundraised more. She got more fundraising funds, and she had more super billionaire donors. And yes, she won the popular vote, because it's not a popular vote. And if it was an election by a popular vote, there would be a whole different kind of electoral strategy. You'd never see anyone in New Hampshire or Iowa because there aren't any people there. And instead, people would be campaigning in California and New York and trying to maximize the turnout of minority Republicans in New York and in California. You'd have a completely different kind of election played by completely different kind of rules, but that's not the kind of system we have. And in the system that we have had for 240 years, President Trump won. And it is very dangerous to teach people that your vote, your decision, is so bad that it must be subverted, and the elites must find a way to retain control over representative government and the will of people voting according to the constitutional practice of the day. And don't underestimate them on this. Don't underestimate them on this. You see this with the Brexit vote in the UK, where basically the people declined to follow the instructions of their betters, and they said they wanted out of the European Union. And ever since then, the losing side has been using every means it has at its disposal, whether it's judicial means through the court, or it's through undermining the process via the bureaucracy, or it's through threatening pro-Brexit politicians from the European end via Brussels and European countries, or whether it's actually maneuvering politicians into positions of influence to subvert the process. And you see exactly the same thing here. Trump was elected on certain very core principles. The one I mentioned earlier, he was elected to stop people who want to kill Americans getting into the country. It doesn't matter whether they're Mexican rapists. It doesn't matter whether it's the evil bastard who killed Kate Steinle just at the time Donald Trump began his campaign. It doesn't matter whether it's lunatic Islamic nut jobs like the stabby stab guy at Ohio State University. Trump was elected on the basic proposition that it is not in the interests of free societies to pile up mountains of corpses on utopian delusions about diversity and tolerance. That's one of the most basic things. The most basic expression of that is that the southern border is going to be a genuine border. It's going to be as rigorous as the Vermont-Quebec border, where a bouche de Noël cannot penetrate the security cordon. And he is proposing to make the southern border as vigorous as the northern border. And already you see, both within the Republican Party and in the broader movement, the donor class that basically wants cheap labor, all kinds of efforts to undermine core Trump principles. So he's got to get these things done. Get them done. Get them done in the first 100 days, because otherwise the donor class will have seized control of the narrative, and all the core positions will start to be undermined. And it is extremely dangerous if you tell people elections make no difference. In 2008, you lost the election, so you had Obamacare shoved down your throat, and you had gay marriage shoved down your throat, and you had transgendered bathrooms shoved down your throat, and you had the war on terror reconfigured as workplace violence shoved down your throat, because you lost. As Obama said, you lost, losers. Get used to it. You lost. You're a loser. You lost. Losers lose. You lost. Get the hell out of my way. That's what Obama said. This time round, the losers managed to win. And to tell them now, but in this particular occasion it doesn't count, is extremely dangerous and damaging. To tell free people there is no peaceful way they can change the direction of their country is deeply dangerous. Mark Steyn for Rush will take your calls straight ahead.